Good morning, everybody. Friday morning. We're here with a little last minute live. Yes, it is a surprise, Azam. What's up to everybody that decides to join us? I don't expect it to be a huge crew. I think we're announcing it right now on social media. I just posted on Twitter about it. A ton of you sent me this interview with Ben Chu talking about Gwyneth Paltrow on Court TV. And I have not seen it yet, but I figured if we're going to watch it, we might as well watch it together. Might as well do it live. Might as well get some questions answered. It's not going to be a long video, and it's going to post after. The Paltrow trial doesn't start for another, I think, 2 hours because it's mountain time. So I figure we might as well get a little juice to start our Friday. I'm playing in a golf tournament later today, which I'm really excited about. So I'm working from home this morning and decided to take a little break after I went through kind of my morning routine that I always do to get things started, to take a break and let's talk about Gwyneth Paltrow a little bit more. Let's talk about what Ben Chu has to say about it. As we know, Ben Chu knows what it's like to represent a big celebrity and to try a case in front of the world while representing that big celebrity, and how their demeanor matters, and how what they look like and what they wear and what they do matters. Now, I will say, it's always funny in our society that if you have success even once, sometimes you become the expert. I personally think there are a lot of different ways, and Ben Chu knows this too. It's not like this was his first trial, but there are a lot of different ways a client or a party can act in a trial and still be successful. I do not think there's just one way, and I don't think he's saying that as either. I also think people have different just personalities and ways they do things. We talk about that all the time. Not everybody is. I am type A. I'm pretty loud. I talk pretty quickly. Have to slow myself down. I have that kind of personality. So if I try to come in and go very slowly and speak in a soft voice and use big words and try to be a gentle soul who takes lots and lots of pauses, that would be so much harder for me. So you have to be who you are, right? And if Gwyneth Paltrow is pissed off about this, if she thinks this is stupid, then maybe that's why she's kind of acting that way. I wouldn't agree with that. But I've heard, and listen, I haven't watched this interview yet, so I'm interested in hearing what he says. I heard he's a bit nitpicky and tells her that, and maybe even says she's, I can't remember what the quote was. She's like looking like a sad sack or something. So I'm interested to see what he says, because Ben Chu's a super nice guy, a smiley guy, a happy guy. He's not a pompous jerk at all. So I'd be surprised if he was overly negative, but that's what I've heard. So let's watch this together, okay? And if you guys sent me, if you're one of those ones that sent me the Ben Chu video, hit that like button for me. And if you're not, but you're going to come here and watch it with us, hit that like button, all right? And then give us a subscribe, because we're continuing to grow. We're pushing towards 250K, and we're going to do that together because this is a last minute live. I'm just in here by my lonesome, so I will get to as many questions as I can. Yes, we will be watching it on 1.5 speed. It's about 15 minutes long. So, you do the math and see how long the video is going to take, but I will answer your questions at the end, as I always do. That's what makes these lives fun. The beginning of the video is basically the same thing for the rewatch crew. If they don't want the questions, boom, you get the video. And then at the end is for all of those who are here and then who like the discussion and the educational part of, for both of us, of the question and answer and the comments that you guys have. So thanks so much for joining me Friday morning. Let's get to it. Here we go.
Washington, D.C., trial attorney, partner with Brown Rudnick LLP, lead attorney for Johnny Depp during his defamation case, represents clients in all kinds of complex litigation, commercial litigation. Ben Chu back with us. Ben, great to see you.
Great to see you, Vinny. Great to be back. Thank you.
I want to get your reaction. It seems like Gwyneth Paltrow's team, she's an A-lister. You have a lot of experience representing an A-lister. Johnny Depp doesn't get much bigger than Johnny Depp. In handling the attention at the courthouse, it looks like they are very concerned about pictures being taken inside the courtroom and pictures being taken outside of the courthouse, so much so that Gwyneth at one point is covering her face. What are your thoughts about that and what it's like for these A-listers?
Vinny, as my father would say, I am in violent agreement with you.
Remember yesterday when I said violent agreement? It must have been a beginning clip I saw of this and not of the trial. I'm in violent agreement. I said I'm in violent disagreement. It must have been from this. That's funny. Yes, it's nice. It's like worlds colliding, right? Somebody said I miss Ben Chu. Me too. It's cool to see Ben Chu on my screen again. and the Depp trial and the Paltrow trial are now colliding.
Been depicted outside that courthouse is nothing compared to what you've seen in other cases. Certainly nothing compared to the Depp case. She needs
So
to
he
lose.
starts out by downplaying the publicity outside the courtroom, which is an interesting little shot. I'm going to back it up because he started saying something else that I missed. So I'm going to back it up just a second here.
Back to what you've seen in other cases. Certainly nothing compared to the Depp case. She needs to lose that blue notebook. I think it comes across as imperious. As you said so well, the courthouse is a public square. This isn't a family vacation away from the crowds when you have a legitimate expectation of privacy. This is a courthouse, and she's not merely a defendant. She also has her own counterclaim.
All right, let's talk about this. So this is something I heard about. I didn't hear the entire way he explained it, and I like to hear it from the horse's mouth, as you guys know. So he said she needs to lose the new notebook, the blue notebook. It's imperious, and this is a public court. You don't have an expectation of privacy. Gwyneth Paltrow is in a very different place than Johnny Depp. Okay, and I did not think I was going to be defending Gwyneth Paltrow personally. I don't know her. I'm not saying, anything about her personally. I really like Ben Chu. If I'm picking Ben Chu or Gwyneth Paltrow, I know where I'm landing. But I think I'm going to disagree with him a little bit here. Gwyneth Paltrow would never have been here but for the complaint filed by Terry Sanderson. I think we can all agree with that, regardless of if she has a counterclaim for $1 or not. Johnny Depp, on the other hand, weighed his options and knew what he was getting into when he filed his defamation suit against Amber Heard, which was totally appropriate, and he won and he deserved to. I don't mean anything by that. But they are at the courthouse for different reasons. And Gwyneth Paltrow, who has this blue notebook and is, I assume, taking notes in it. Maggie said, don't agree. She could have settled. I wish she would have. I wish every defendant would settle. And you're right. She could have settled, but what if you think the person that you didn't do anything wrong, or you didn't hurt the person, or you didn't cause any of his injuries? Just because she's rich doesn't mean that she wants to throw money at stuff that's frivolous. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she should have settled or not yet. Okay. I would have offered him some money based on the testimony. Probably not $3.2 million. But my point being, Terry Sanderson brought this case to court, not Gwyneth Paltrow. Johnny Depp brought his case to court. Now, you can say Amber Heard's actions did. I get you. So this blue notebook, okay? I also, these where she's covering up her face and these pictures that are being taken, this is not in front of the jury. So I don't think the jury is going to have a reaction to this. I think she's trying to keep from having her face make paparazzi money, which to me is like a tale as old as time. Like every celebrity that's walking on the street, you don't have the same expectation of privacy when you're walking on a public road or when you're in a public place. And the courthouse is one of those things. That doesn't mean you can't cover up your face so that people can't get the picture that they want. The money shot we talked about. Now, I'd be willing to argue that this is almost a better shot for these paparazzis to take. So maybe because he's a lawyer to the stars, he knows, like, you're just making it worse trying to cover up your face. Interesting, right? So Sue, save this. I'm going to save this question. We'll talk about it at the end. I can't let this one turn into an hour and a half live. I can't let it happen. All right, let's get back to the video.
Albeit a symbolic one. So she has to be and act like any other litigant in the courtroom. And I think she and her lawyer do her no service when she's playing the part of a prima donna and looking like a sad sack when she's sitting there at the stand. The other thing I noticed from your coverage of yesterday.
Wow. She's a prima donna and looking like a sad sack sitting there. Wow. Those are some shots. I wonder if he knows Gwyneth Paltrow, or if do Johnny Depp and Gwyneth Paltrow have any history? I don't know. Wow. This is a little more critical than I was expecting.
Hey, and this may have just been nervousness or an accident, but I understand that she didn't stand up when the judge and jury came in. That, intentional or not, comes off as very disrespectful. It's very important for the attorneys and the clients to get together before the trial and choreograph everything in advance. If they're focusing on
So
things like,
I absolutely agree with him there. I didn't know that she didn't stand up for the judge or jury. That's a huge swing and a miss, especially for a celebrity client. I agree with him 100% there. Additionally, a little look behind the curtain about how lawyers and clients, I don't know if I'd use the word choreograph, but we talk about what you're supposed to do, where you stand, where you sit, how you act, when you smile. Don't smile too much. Don't laugh. This is not a joke. We talk about all of that stuff, whether your client's a celebrity or not. The jury is sitting there, and we've had cases with no celebrities that we've watched together, and you all say the same thing. You're looking at facial expressions. What are the clients doing? What are they doing with their hands? What are they doing with their eyes? Who are they looking at? Are they making eye contact? Are they looking down? Do they seem like they care about the proceedings? You all have astutely looked at that. The jury does the same thing. And so I agree with the points he's making here 100%.
Photographs at this point. I think they're focusing on the wrong thing.
She's going to have to testify, right? She's going to have to do that. And to me, I always think that, especially if you're someone as high profile as her, this may be the first time some people in that jury box have ever been in a room with a celebrity. To me, it was interesting during your trial that Johnny Depp always looked like he was very much, he was comfortable, number one, but number two, he understood that, people were there and people would be looking. He just got a different sense of his being while he's just sitting there.
I agree, Vinny, and a lot of this is just who he is, but he was inherently respectful of the judge. He was respectful of the deputies. He was respectful of the jurors. He knew that they were donating a lot of time to something that was very important to him, and he really appreciated it, and it came through in the way he behaved himself in the courtroom, which was...
Again, so this is... So a lot of you are hammering Gwyneth Paltrow right now, and how she's acting like a snob and disrespectful. And he even, juxtaposition Johnny Depp being super respectful of the judge. I don't feel like she's done anything as disrespectful outside of her lawyer. I guess you could say, now that is something that the lawyer could matter on, right? When Ben Chew is your mouthpiece and Camille Vasquez is your mouthpiece versus this Owens guy, maybe that does say something about you as a person when your lawyer is your mouthpiece. All right. And as far as respect goes and decorum and things like that and candor. So I do kind of feel that way. Man, people are going hard at Gwyneth Paltrow. Okay, I don't have any feelings towards her as a person at all. Okay, I don't feel like I know anything about her. Was Johnny Depp way more lovable throughout the trial? Sure. Do we feel like we got to know him throughout the trial, watching his every move? Yes. She hasn't taken the stand yet, so we may learn a lot more when she takes the stand. But I will say, it seems like public opinion is not very high for Gwyneth Paltrow right now. Her team did want to bring treats or whatever for the bailiffs. And again, I think if Ben Chew asks for that, I think it comes across differently than Owens. But we are where we are, and Ben Chew's hammering her a little bit, and you guys seem to agree.
Which was quite sincere.
All right, Ben Chew is going to stay with us. When we come back, we're going to talk about how do you prepare an A-lister to testify in a case that is going to come down to the credibility of your client versus your adversary in this. How different is that by her impact with Paltrow claim suing?
I'm skipping this stuff to get back to Ben Chew.
And disturbing.
Why not? We can watch a little Johnny Depp again, right? Won't hurt.
Disturbing criminal acts against me that were not based in any species of truth, but never did I myself reach the point of striking Miss Heard in any way, nor have I ever struck any woman.
Johnny Depp, I mean, on the stand, unlike any witness I've ever seen in my career here at Court TV, the way he turned phrases, the level, the demeanor, and the rapport with the jury, it was amazing to watch. His attorney, Ben Chew, there he is in court with him, is with us tonight, and we're talking about Gwyneth Paltrow. It's going to be a credibility battle in this case as well. So, Ben, how do you first prepare an A-list celebrity, an actor, Johnny Depp, Gwyneth Paltrow, both actors, to prepare to testify, to tell their story? And what impact does their background as actors have in this whole process?
The first thing, Benny, I think the lawyer needs to do is to resist the natural temptation to try to control things. This is the client's opportunity, whether it's an actor or not an actor, to tell his or her story. And as you said, whichever of the two parties is the most likable and the most credible is going to win. So what we did with Johnny was to take a step back and let him tell us his story, which he did largely in a chronological way, and have him tell that story the way he wanted to say it. And then we backed the questions in from there. So that way he was able to speak in his own voice. It wasn't the attorney's In fact, I think Jessica Myers, who conducted the direct of Johnny and defended his cross, and we'll get to cross in a moment, it was masterful because many people didn't even recognize or remember her questions, which is exactly how it's supposed to be. What they remembered was Johnny and his testimony. And that's the way we wanted, Camille Vasquez and Jessica Myers spent countless hours with him, listening to him. And the questions really came later. The questions were almost an afterthought and a means to enable him to tell his story the way he wanted to tell it.
Amazing to hear how that all came together.
And he is totally right. And we've talked about this before, the difference between direct and cross-examination. Direct, you want to remember the answers of your client. Cross, you want the lawyer wants you to remember what the lawyer says as evidence.
Because it was so well
it's
done.
not evidence, but they want you to remember it like it's evidence.
You're right. You don't remember the questions. You may not remember who was questioning Johnny Depp, and that's what you want. So let's get to the other part now. This is the part where you've got an A-lister. A-listers are used to controlling every situation. When they're in a room, they are in charge of the room. But when you're on cross-examination, you're not in charge. You've got to answer some questions. So how do you prepare someone of that stature to be in that position?
Well, we gave that a lot of thought, and ultimately what we decided to do was to move outside of our core team. That is the people who spent so much time with Johnny through the course of discovery and through the trial. And we brought in a wonderful lawyer from our Boston office, Wayne Dennison, who is actually, in reality, a very nice guy, but he can be a voracious cross-examiner. And we told Johnny that we were going to bring him in, who became quite knowledgeable about the case, but at the time he didn't know that much about it, which actually was a plus. And he went after Johnny very hard in a mock cross-examination. And the cross-examination.
So the mock cross-examinations are one of the most important parts of every trial preparation. In most of our trials, we've talked about it before, are kind of the parts that I handle on most trials is jury selection, cross-examination of the defense experts. I'll usually handle the surgeons or the doctors in the case, the medical treating physicians. I'll do closing argument, and then we'll kind of split up a lot of the witnesses. I almost never do the direct examination of the client. I like to kind of divide and conquer, and that takes a lot of time, as he said. So somebody else usually do the direct, and then I will usually do the cross. Now, they brought somebody in from their Boston office. We don't have a Boston office. So we try to bring somebody in that knows the case, which is usually me doing the closing, knowing what the case is about, knowing the issues in the case. And I hit them hard. And a lot of times the defense lawyers don't even know all the issues that I know. But I think going as hard as you possibly can puts the client in the mindset that, okay, this can be tough. They're going to hit on some stuff I don't want to talk about. How am I going to react? And it's not about telling them what answers to say. It's about trying to create an atmosphere where they're not caught off guard and they don't freeze to where maybe it looks like they're searching for a lie, but instead they say, oh, well, yes, my back did hurt in 2013 because I slept on the floor of a hard cement ground because I was on a mission trip. And it's like that back pain turns into something good as opposed to, oh, I had back pain in 2013. It looks like I'm lying. You think back, you remember. That's what's called for in cross-examination. And in Johnny Depp's case, they brought Dennison in to do that. And I hope they do the same thing. I say I hope. I want every presentation of a case to go well, regardless of what we think about him. So for Gwyneth Paltrow's team, I hope they bring somebody in and cross-examine her to the nines, because if they don't, they're only hurting her. And sometimes when you have a big celebrity client, they don't want that. And you don't want to ruffle feathers. And you may be thinking about the next case or the next work you might be doing for them. So you don't want to piss them off in cross-examination. I never care about that. I'm doing what's best for the client in this case. And I'm crossing them hard. And I'm acting like I don't believe them in cross-examination. I've had clients ask me, do you not believe in my case? Kind of like we talked about with the closing arguments on, what case was it? It must have been Murdoch. The Murdoch closing argument that I did for the state. You're like, how are you not voting guilty? You got to be able to explain and see the other side. And I think it's really important when they test and practice for these cross-examinations. And I hope that they do that with Gwyneth Paltrow. Maybe they didn't do it so much with Amber Heard because, and I don't know if they did it with Terry Sanderson. It seems like he might not be able to handle some of the tough questions, which is going to come back and bite him and cross. So today and Monday, when Sanderson and Paltrow testify, I think is going to be the two most important days of this trial.
That he did of Johnny in practice was much more difficult than what he ultimately faced at trial. And I think that was a really good preparation. We brought in someone, outside of our core team because we didn't want any we didn't want any residual blowback because it's really important, to go hard. and it would have been hard for us, emotionally and otherwise, to do what really had to be done. So by the time he went up on cross, I think you can see he didn't get angry. That's the one thing, especially the nature of that case, which was an alleged abuse case. The last thing you wanted your client to appear was angry. So he was well prepared. He never lost his temper. He was clever. He was witty. He was serious, and he was truthful.
So finally, what advice would you have for Gwyneth Paltrow when it's time for her to take the stand in this he said, she said ski accident case?
Well, first of all, obviously, the cardinal rule is to tell the truth, to tell it in your own words, not use legalese or words suggested to you by your attorneys. To the extent that there are weaknesses in her story, she should embrace them rather than hide from them. I don't know in this case whether there are or whether there are any blind spots in her story, but I don't think she should run away from them. And were I representing her, I would have someone very difficult come after her in a mock cross examination so that she's ready for it.
100%.
And she reacts in the proper way.
Yeah, we're looking at the videotape from some arguments that were done. She's not looking happy. She's not looking comfortable. In this particular moment, the jury's out of the courtroom, so that's not a problem. How about general demeanor during the course of the case?
General demeanor is very important. As you pointed out before, Vinny, you have to assume that at any given moment, one of the jurors is going to be looking at you as the client. And that goes for the lawyers as well, but especially the principals. This case, as the Depp case, is all about the two principals, and all eyes are going to be on them.
Every case. I think every case, celebrity or not, every case is about the two parties. That's what it comes down to. Their credibility is at issue. What happened to them? What did they do? What did they not do? What are they feeling? What are they not feeling?
At every moment. So they have to be at their best, not slouching, not grimacing, not reacting to negative testimony. They have to use their acting abilities to retain their composure. And I assume that she's being instructed in that way.
Ben Chu, always great to have you on the program. Appreciate your insight. I know you're busy with a lot of high-profile cases that are happening, so we really appreciate your time tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, Vinny. Really appreciate it.
All right. So, Ben Chu, there are his thoughts. JC, why is everyone judging her? In my opinion, she has a narcissist, angry man who felt he hit the jackpot when he hit her. He wanted $3 million. The court knocked it to $300K. I just wish she had better attorneys. If he hit a maid, we wouldn't be here. So, a couple things on this one. Jay, I'm trying not to judge her personally, but she is in a court of law, and I think her actions and how she acts and what she says, especially on the stand, will be evaluated and critiqued and judged by a jury and a judge. So I do think that's part of this process. I think that you could be right. Maybe he did see money and go after it. Maybe he doesn't have a legitimate claim. That's something the jury's going to have to decide. This last part, if he hit a maid, we wouldn't be here. Many times, people are injured, seriously injured, by someone who cannot compensate them for the damage that they caused. And that's very difficult too. What do you do in that situation? The person could still have the injuries and medical bills, and it seems like Terry Sanderson's pretty well off, but sometimes I have a situation where somebody cannot afford the medical treatment they need, and the person that injured them also has no insurance and no money. Those are the saddest conversations I have with people. So it does happen, and maybe there wouldn't be a lawsuit, but that does not mean justice would be served. Just because if Gwyneth Paltrow, let's just play out this hypothetical, if Gwyneth Paltrow was a maid and did run over Terry Sanderson and cause him to break his ribs and have this concussion and brain injury, if that maid could not cover, maybe we shouldn't use maid. Let's just say if somebody that was not collectible couldn't cover the medical bills and treatment, is that justice? What did Terry Sanderson do to deserve that? He didn't do anything. So I understand where you're coming from, and I think this is an absolutely good viewpoint. That's where I started as well with Ben Chu, is I wouldn't critique every little thing that she did, like with a blue notebook, but I absolutely agree with him that everything she does is important, especially while the jury's in the courtroom. Respect for the judges and the jury is really important, giving her that mock cross-examination. So I think he made some really good points, some other points that I think I wouldn't have personally made, but I've never represented Johnny Depp, right? So I think it's an interesting aspect and angle and context to add to this. But the other point you made here and other questions that I've gotten, the court knocked it down to $300,000. He wanted $3 million. Okay. And then we had another person, Nicole, say, did we figure out the 3 million versus 300K confusion? So late last night, 11, 12 o'clock my time, when I'm laying in bed on my phone, Googling damages caps in Utah. Like, how did I not see this? How did I not know this? I swear he asked for $3.2 million in opening, and he did. And that's fine. Sorry, I get distracted. 89. Not sure this is a search for justice. Just saying that's fine. This may not be, but there are absolutely cases where there are. And it is not justice for somebody to hurt somebody else and then just be like, sorry, can't afford it, I'm moving on. It's not fair either. Regardless, sorry. So the 3 million versus 300,000. Everything I found, and I am a Florida lawyer, I'm not a lawyer in Utah. Everything I found, the only caps on negligence cases that I can find in Utah is medical malpractice compensatory damages. And it's like $450,000. There are some other kind of things in there with medical malpractice, meaning a doctor screws up. Medical negligence. I do not see any caps on compensatory damages, past and future medical bills, pain and suffering, lost wages. I don't see any caps in Utah for simple negligence claims, which many people said, oh, the judge threw out the intentional tort, the failure to render aid, whatever it may be, hit and run. And so therefore it knocked down to 300K. I can't find anything legally speaking that says that. Now, do I think that I have done all the research that needs to be done to tell you that with 100% authority? No, but a lot of people were saying that to me, and I think that they're wrong. I do not think that they are limited to asking for $300,000. I would be very surprised at this point if they were. So that's where I am. That's where I am on the 3 million versus 300,000. Yes, a lot of you sent me articles and, Court TV said this and this media organization said that's fine. I just looked at the statutes I would look at for my state. And then I even looked at nationwide what states do have caps on simple negligence, compensatory damage claims, punitive damages claims. And Utah is not in any of the lists that have these caps on simple negligence cases. Some states have tried to put caps and they've been ruled unconstitutional. David said even Fox News is reporting 300K. That's fine. I'm not saying it's not getting reported. I'm just saying if I was filing this claim, I wouldn't see anything that would make me think my client's damages were limited to 300,000. Doesn't mean I have to be right because, like I said, I'm not practicing in Utah, but I also hear the lawyers on both sides talking about millions of dollars being claimed here. Yes, I agree. That's what I hear from the lawyers as well. Kim, would you feel comfortable to do a case with cameras? 100%. All day, every day. Bring them on. Now, the reason I would have some apprehension is more for my client, because as you see, private medical information is coming out. People have a lot of opinions about his loss of hearing and loss of eyesight and his brain scan and his anger and saying F you to somebody one time and his neuropsych records and his depression. So I like to protect my clients from that. So if there's no real benefit to having it on camera or having cameras in the courtroom for them, I'm not going to do it so that people can see me be a trial lawyer. That's not what these cases are about. I got a camera on my face here talking about this stuff with you guys plenty. If my client does not want to have their information out there, their private information out there, then it ain't for me. Yeah, check the notifications, Jacqueline. This was a last minute live, but yeah, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, like the video to make sure you don't miss it when I do happen to just pop on. Elena, Vlad, thank you for your commentary and great input. Thank you. Anastasia, great to watch another trial with you. This is my third, and I learned so much about the law and people in general watching these and hearing your thoughts. I like that it's kind of a different trial than we've had. We've had defamation, we've had criminal, we've had serious criminal, we've had less serious criminal. And now we get a ski accident, which is a very unique kind of trial case, but it has damages. It has medical experts. It's got scans. It's got medical records. I enjoy this type of stuff. I think it's fun. Jennifer, I thought her attorney was hired by her insurance company. Could that be why they seem a bit off? Sure. I have not seen it. Same thing with Amber Heard. I have not seen if she has an umbrella, some kind of general liability policy that would cover this. usually celebrities, actually not just celebrities, sometimes just normal people can have some input on who their defense attorney is. And if they don't like the defense attorney representing them, they can ask for a different one and kind of go different ways. So you don't just get stuck. Now, sometimes people don't know that they can ask for different ones. So you don't just get stuck with somebody if you hate them or think that they're terrible. Thank you, Azam, for the super sticker. All right. 30 minutes feels about right for this one. We got into it. We talked about what Ben Chu thought. We talked about the 300K versus 3 million. That's good. I need to tag that, John, somewhere in the title or in the tags that we talked about that a little bit because a lot of people had questions on that. And I really think that it's still $3.2 million, which was asked for in opening. The internet says the judge just missed the hit and run and the punitive damages dropping the claim to 300K. It's not how it works, though. It's not how it works. If he has compensatory damages of over 300K, and if there is a non-economic, a pain and suffering damages claim, the punitive damages being gone wouldn't limit that, unless there is a law limiting it, of course. All right. I appreciate all you. Yeah, check out the rewatch if you guys weren't able to make it on the live. Sorry for not a lot of lead time. This is just when I had a little bit of time to jump on here and do this. Hit that like button on your way out. Appreciate all of you all the time. And yes, P-Hop, happy Friday to everyone. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok at Tragos Law is our handle. And don't forget to listen to the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. If you have a case you want to talk to us about, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, the Lawyer You Know. So Leslie, I saw this question come up. First time, little encore. I'm going to answer this real quick on the way out. So there's medical bills you've had in the past, medical bills that medical professionals testify you're going to need in the future, pain and suffering in the past, pain and suffering in the future, lost wages in the past, lost wages in the future, lost capacity to earn in the future, punitive damages to punish. There are so many different categories of damages, and we'll continue to talk about them as the case goes on. Thanks for the question, but now I'm really out of here.